Hello guys, welcome back to my study vlog. It's a daily study vlog. In previous vlog, I revised the Roman Empire, and from there only we got the idea that the expansion of Islam. After that, we'll see the expansion of Islam occurs after the Roman Empire, and we finished here. And in this chapter we've seen that how the expansion of Islam from its beginning in Arabia has been called the greatest political revolution ever to occur in the history of the ancient world. So it's around the next chapter we see that it's around the 21st century, over 1 million Muslims living in all parts of the world. And yes, we are going to expand our information by reading this chapter. See, this chapter is very important for the international relations, separate paper for the UPSC, and without this book we cannot go along, so we must read whatever it takes. So yeah, and you can watch the full chapter reading in my YouTube channel, but here I want to go through the map first, which shows the rise of Islam, and this where the rise of Islam under Muhammad Prophet, that is Syria, Iran, Palestine and Iraq, which is also called Mesopotamia. And we see the rivers surrounded, that is Mediterranean Sea, Red Sea, Persian Gulf, Caspian Sea, Black Sea. So these all are the important points to remember. And the rise of Arabia is the expansion of Islam under Muhammad Prophet, and these all were the Islamic lands. So yes, from here we'll start the chapter. We'll read the urbanization, literature and the culture of the Islam, and we're going to know more facts about the Islamic world. So yes, let's start. The rise of Islam in Arabia, faith, community and politics. So here it goes, the during the 612 the Prophet Muhammad raised the worship of a single God Allah and the membership of the single community to believe this was the origin of Islam. Yes, and Muhammad was an Arab by language and culture, much by profession, and 6th century Arab's culture was largely confined to the Arabian Peninsula and areas of southern Syria and Mesopotamia. This is clear from here. And yes, of course, the Arabs were divided into tribes, that is called Kabila, each little chief who is chosen the party on the basis of family connections, but more of the personal courage, wisdom and generosity. Each tribe of its own god or goddess who was worshipped as an idol, which is also called Sanam in Asrim. Many other tribes were nomadics, moving from dry to green areas and desert in search of food, mainly dates and fodder for their camels. Some settled in cities of the practice trade of agriculture. Muhammad's own tribe, Quraysh, lived in Mecca and controlling the main stream there. The Qibla is called Kaaba, in which idols were placed. Even tribes outside Mecca considered the Kaaba holy and installed their own idols at the shrine, making annual pilgrimage, that is also called Hajj, to the shrine. Mecca was located on the crossroad of trade route between Yemen and Syria and was further enhanced the city's importance. The Mecca shrine was sanctuary, that is called Haram, where violence was forbidden, protection given to all visitors. Pilgrims and commerce gave the nomadic and settlers opportunity and to communicate with one another and share their beliefs and customs. Although they Polytheistic Arabs were vaguely familiar with the notion of the supreme God, Allah, and of Jewish of the Christian tribes lives in their midst, and their attachment of idols and shrines was more immediate and stronger. Around 612, Muhammad declared himself to be the messenger, Rasul of God, who had been commanded to preach that Allah alone should be worshipped. The worship involves simple rituals such as daily prayers, that is also called salat, and moral principles such as distributing alms, abstaining from theft. Muhammad was to found a community of believers, Ummah, bound by a common set of religious beliefs. The community would bear witness Sada to existence religious God before God as well as before member of other religion communities. So Muhammad's message particularly appeals to those Meccans who felt deprived of grants even from trade, and religious were looking for a new community identity. Those who accepted the doctrine were called Muslims, and they were promised salvation of the day of judgment, Qiyamah, and share of the resources of the community while on earth. The Muslims soon faced considerable opposition from affluent Meccans who took offense of the rejection of their deities and found the new religion a threat to the status and prosperity of Mecca. In 622, Muhammad was forced to migrate with his followers to Medina. Muhammad's journey from Mecca, that is Hijrah, was a turning point in the history of Islam, and with the year of the arrival of the Medina marking the beginning of the Muslim calendar. Okay. Then after that, the survival of a religion rests on the survival of the community believers. The community has to be consolidated, interlinked, and protected from external dangers. Consolidation and protection requires political institutions such as the states and government, which are either inherited from the past, borrowed from outside, or created from scratch. In Medina, Muhammad created a political order from all three sources, which gave his followers the protection they need as well as resolve the city's ongoing civil strife. The Ummah was converted into wider community to include polytheists and Jews of Medina under the political leadership of Muhammad. Muhammad consolidated the faith for his followers by adding the refining rituals and ethical principles. The community survived on agriculture and trade as well as alms tax, that is called zakat. In addition, the Muslims organized expeditionary raids on Meccan caravans and nearby oases. Oasis means greenery. These raids provoked reactions from the Meccans and caused a breach with the Jews of Medina. After a series of battles, Mecca was conquered by Muhammad's reputation as religious preacher, political leader, spread far and wide. Muhammad now insisted on conversion as a sole criterion for the membership of community. In the harsh condition of the desert, the Arab attached great value to strength and solidarity. Impressed by Muhammad's achievement, many tribes, most Bedouins, joined the community of converting to Islam. Muhammad's alliance began to spread until it resembles the whole of the Arabia. Medina becomes the administrative capital of the emerging Islamic state, and Mecca its religious center. The Kaaba was cleansed of idols of Muslims were required to face shrine when offering prayers. In the short space time, Muhammad was able to unite large part of the Arabia under a new faith, community, and state. Each Islamic polity, however, remained a federation of tribes and clans for a long time. So, till now, we have seen the work of Muhammad, जो the state, the caliphate expansion, civil wars, and sect formation. Okay. Now, after death No one could legitimately claim to be the next prophet of Islam. As a result, his political authority was transferred to the Imam, which has no established principle of succession. This created opportunity for the innovation, but also caused deep division among the Muslims. The biggest innovation was the creation of the institution of Caliphate, in which the leader of the community, Amir al-Amin, became the deputy Khalifa or the prophet. The first four caliphs justified their powers on the basis of their close associations with the prophet and continued his work, the general guidance he had provided. The twin objectives of the caliphate were to retain control over the tribes constituting Qumma and to raise resources for the state. Following Muhammad, these many tribes broke away and from the Islamic State. Some even raised their own prophets to establish community modeled on the Ummah. The first Caliph, Abu Bakr, suppressed the revolts by a series of campaigns. The second Caliph, Umar, saved the Ummah's policy to expansion of power, and the Caliph knew that the Ummah could not be maintained out of the modest income developed from trade and taxes, realizing that rich booty, that is ghanima, could be obtained from expeditionary raids. The Caliph and his military commanders mustered their tribal strength to conquer lands belonging to the Byzantine Empire in the west and Sasanian Empire in the east. At the height of their power, the Byzantine and Sasanian empires. Sasanian is from the Iran and ruled vast territories and commanded his resources to pursue their political, commercial interest in Arabia. The Byzantine Empire promoted Christianity. Sasanian Empire patronized Zoroastrianism, the ancient religion of Iran. I told you, from Iran. On the eve of Arab invention, these two empires had declined. Declined in strength due to religious conflict and revolts by aristocracy. This made it easier for the Arabs to annex territories through wars and treaties. Okay. Now we have the three successful campaigns Arab route from Syria, Iran, Iraq, Egypt under control of Medina. Military strategies, fervor and weakness of the opposition contributed to the success of Arabs. Further campaigns were launched by the third Caliph Uthman to extend the control of Central Asia. Within a decade of the death of Muhammad, the Arab Islamic State controlled by a vast territory between the Nile and the Oxus. These lands remain under Muslim rule on this day. All the conquered provinces, the caliphs imposed a new administrative structure headed by the governors called Amirs and tribal chieftains Ashraf. The central treasury, Bayt al-Mal, obtained its revenue from taxes paid by Muslims as well as its share of the booty from raids. The caliph's soldiers, mostly Badawis, settled in the camp cities in the edge of the desert such as Kufa and Basra to remain within reach of their natural habitat as well as the caliph's command. The ruling class of the soldiers received shares of the booty and monthly payments, also called atta. The non-Muslim population retained their rights to property and religious practice on payment of taxes, that's called kharaj and jizyas. Jews and Christians were declared protected subject to the state dhimis and given a large measure of autonomy in the conduct of their communal affairs. So here political expansion and unification did not come easy to the Arab tribesmen. With territorial expansion, the unity of the Ummah becomes threatened by conflicts over the distribution of resources and offices. The ruling class of the early Islamic State comprised almost entirely the Quraysh and of Mecca. The third Caliph Uthman, also a Quraysh, packed his administration with his own men to secure greater control. The further intensified the Meccan character of the state and the conflict with the other tribesmen. Opposition in Iraq and Egypt combined with opposition in Medina, led to assassination of Uthman. With Uthman's death, Ali became the fourth caliph. The rift among the Muslims deepened after Ali fought two wars against who represented the Meccan aristocracy. Ali established himself as Kufa and defeated an army led by Muhammad's wife Aisha in the Battle of the Camel. He was, however, not able to suppress the faction led by the Muawiyah, kinsman of Uthman and governor of Syria. Ali's second battle, Siffin, northern Mesopotamia, ended in a truce which split his followers into two groups. Some remained loyal to him, while others left the camp and came to be known as Kharjis. Soon after, Ali was assassinated by Kharjis in a mosque of Kufa. After his death, his followers paid allegiance to his son Hussein, and his descendants Muawiyah made himself the next caliph in 661, founding the Umayyad dynasty, which lasted till 750. After the civil wars, it appeared as if Arab dominate would disintegrate. There were also signs that tribal conquerors were adopting the sophisticated culture of their subject. It was under the Umayyads and prosperous clan of the Quraysh tribe that second round of consolidation took place. Umayyads and the centralization of polity, conquest of large territory destroyed by caliphate based in the Medina and replaced it with the increasing authoritarian polity. The Umayyads implemented a series of political measures which consolidated their leadership within the Ummah. The first Umayyad Caliph, Muawiyah, moved his capital to Damascus and adopted the court ceremonies and administrative institution of the Byzantine Empire. He also introduced hereditary succession and persuaded the leading Muslim to accept his son as his heir. These innovations were adopted by the caliphs who followed the Umayyads to retain 90-year-old Abbasids for 2 centuries. The Umayyad state was now an imperial power, no longer based directly on Islam but on the statecraft's loyalty of Syrian troops. There were Christian advisors in the administration as well as Zoroastrian scribes, bureaucrats. However, Islam continued to provide legitimacy to their rule. The Umayyads always appealed for unity and suppressed rebellions in the name of Islam. They also retained their Arab social identity during of Abdul Malik and his successor. Both Arab and Islamic identities were strongly emphasized. Among the major, Abdul Malik took adoption of the Arabic as a language of instruction and the introduction of Islamic coinage. The gold dinar and the silver dirham had been circulating in the Caliphate, were the copies of Byzantine and Iranian coins, denarius and drachm, respectively, with symbols of crosses, fire altars, and Greek and the Pahlavi and the coins, the language of Iran, inscriptions. These symbols were removed and the coins now Arabic inscriptions. Abd al-Malik also made highly visible contribution to the development of Arab Islamic identity by building the dome of rock of Jerusalem. Okay, now Abbasid Revolution. Video is so exaggerated, so we will I think I'll read the left pages in the next slot of study hour. So because video is so long, that is of 19 minutes, we should stop and take a break. Okay, till then, bye bye.